Hi everyone, my name's Sarah. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm doing a little bit of a different setup. I'm going to try to show you a video of a talk that I've been studying, and I want to discuss an idea that I've had that maybe you'll find interesting. So this is a talk, a devotional talk by Elder Holland from 1980, given at BYU, that I thought was just fantastic, and it reminded me of a concept that I have been thinking about, that I've been discussing with some friends, and the concept is that entropy is a force of evil. So for those who aren't familiar with the concept, the thermodynamics concept of entropy, and I'm not a professional, I don't really know how to explain this very well, but as far as I understand it, the higher the entropy, the more chaos you have. So here's a Google search that I did, entropy's relationship to chaos. And so as far as I understand it, God's environment is perfect because there's absolutely no chaos. God is perfect order. His environment and his everything he does, everything he is perfect order. So it cannot allow any sort of entropy to infect it. It cannot tolerate any amount of chaos. To fight entropy, we constantly have to apply work. So entropy is what, let me give you an example. If you know, I'm not super smart. I don't really know this in depth. I'm not super great at physics, but for example, when you don't clean your house constantly, things just get out of control. Not only does it get dirty, but it gets messy. Things get put out of place, and you have to constantly put work into it to prevent it from getting out of hand. And in this talk, he focuses a lot on how discouragement and self-doubt can be a sort of germ, something you can get infected by, and it's not really related to something that is actually happening. We can get discouraged even when things are going well, and I hope it makes more sense as I show you this. But I thought it was really interesting that he calls the self-doubt, discouragement, and despair as a form of evil, and it just made me think about entropy and chaos that I believe is essentially comes from evil forces. I can't hear the video as I'm with the setup that I have to use the microphone, and as I've mentioned before, I'm working out of a playground that has these like phone booths that I can work in, and I get to watch my daughter, but it's kind of like a crazy setup, so bear with me. I can't really hear what it's saying, but I remember it, so I'm gonna try. I know when it's supposed to start, the part that I'm trying to think of, but here it is.
Administration, especially the student body. I believe it is a form of evil. At least I know it can have damaging effects that block our growth, dampen our spirit, diminish our hope, and leave us susceptible and vulnerable to other more conspicuous evils. I address it here this morning because I know of nothing Satan uses quite so cunningly or cleverly in his work on a young man or a young woman in your present circumstance.
So I think it is really interesting how he says that Satan uses this as a tool to get to us. And because, at least in my life, I don't always think that my self-doubt and my discouragement and my fear is coming from Satan immediately. But this has shown me that it is something that Satan uses to get to us, and it's something that we can guard against. Next, I'm gonna get to the place where also I have never shown a video on my channel before, somebody else's video, so I'm hoping that this is fine and it's, not going to get flagged other than fair use, because I'm only using a little bit of it, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, so in this part, he explains what I just said, that it can be, the discouragement and despair and self-doubt can be, can be without cause. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to trouble.
Trouble has no necessary connection with discouragement. Discouragement has a germ of its own, as different from trouble as arthritis is different from a stiff joint. Now, troubles we've all got, but the germ of discouragement, to use Fitzgerald's word, is not in the trouble. It is in us, or more precisely, I believe it is in Satan, the prince of darkness, the father of lies. And he would have it be in us. It's frequently a small germ, hardly worth going to the health center for, but it will work, and it will grow, and it will spread. In fact, it can become almost a habit, a way of living and thinking, and there the greatest damage is done. Then it takes an increasingly severe toll on our spirit, for it erodes the deepest religious commitments we can make, those of faith and hope and charity.
So, I also really like this part where he distinguishes that, this germ is not necessarily related to anything that's happening in our lives, but it can become a habit for us to get into this mindset. And it doesn't mean that there aren't things to be troubled by. Of course, there are circumstances of life that causes us to feel these things. But in this next part, he says something really cool.
We turn inward and look downward, and these greatest of Christ-like virtues are damaged, or at the very least impaired. We become unhappy, and soon we make others unhappy, and before long Lucifer laughs.
I had never considered the image, the mental image of Lucifer laughing because of our despair is something that really got to me just thinking about it. And I definitely don't want to have that. I don't want to give him that. I want to guard against these feelings, and I know that we can all do better in preventing us to feel this way. And next, he's talking about how we can guard against this germ, and he calls it little preventative medicine. And I really like what he has to say here, so I'm just going to play it.
As with any other germ, a little preventive medicine ought to be practiced in terms of those things that get us down. There is a line from Dante which says, "The arrow seen before cometh less rudely."
I love how Elder Holland is always quoting really great texts that I am familiar with. Like in this particular talk, he's talking about Dante, and then he also mentions Henry David Thoreau, and it's just, I would love to get to speak with him and like a person, not just watching his talks. It would just be great because he is just so smart, so wonderful, such a great writer.
President John Kennedy put a variation of that thought into one of his State of the Union messages. He said, "The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining." The Boy Scouts say it best of all. Be prepared. That isn't just Cracker Barrel wisdom with us.
I'm not quite sure if he said the word theology yet because I can't hear it, but I thought this was so on point, because in our religion, we do believe that being prepared is part of our religion, is in the scriptures. It's just as important. It's not Cracker Barrel wisdom. It's not just a platitude. And I thought that this really applied to the second coming. It was just something that came to my mind because the time to prepare is right now. And like Kennedy put it so perfectly. It was just so easy to understand when he said it like that the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. Even though I'm feeling that this year has already started pretty crazy and things are, I don't know, I don't know if you get this feeling too, but I get the feeling that this year is going to be a rocky ride. But this is the time to prepare, just as President Nelson said, that we need to use the time when things are going okay for us to prepare, for us to get ready for what is to come. Because another point that I wanted to make was that there is a difference between the brother of Jared, the boats that the brother of Jared that they all went on, and the boat that Nephi built. I think my mom was telling me that this was was mentioned by Michael Rush in one of his books, but he says that because Nephi started building his boat a long time before, they got to travel in relative comfort because they got to work early on, and they got the nice ride, I guess. But the brother of Jared and all those people, they had to ride on, boats that don't seem very comfortable. It probably was really smelly and dirty and hot or cold, or I don't know. Their boats were not as nice, but it didn't mean that the Lord abandoned them. Of course, He was there and He gave them whatever they needed to make the ride work. It just depends. I guess what I'm trying to say is, depending on how prepared you are, you're going to have an easier time when things start to get a little harder. As far as I understand it, I'm trying to prepare myself. I'm not saying that I am 100% prepared or anything like that. I'm just trying to see around the corner and do my best to be ready when the time comes. That's my baby. I really hope this video doesn't turn out just terrible, because I'm just getting back into this. The setup is kind of crazy, but anyway, let's keep going.
It's theology. Prepare ye, prepare ye. Angels shall fly through the midst of heaven, crying with a loud voice, prepare ye, prepare ye. And if you are prepared, you shall not fear. And fear is part of what I wish to oppose this morning. The scriptures teach that preparation, prevention, if you will, is perhaps the major weapon in your arsenal against discouragement and self-defeat.
Then on the subject of preparation, Elder Holland gives an example of when he was in school and he was taking a class from the dean, which is really incredible. If you go to BYU, you don't think that the dean would be teaching classes, but I guess when he was going to school, it was a pretty small school. So the dean was teaching a class of English literature, I believe, and there were 3 papers that were really important due throughout the semester, and he left the papers to be done at the night before they were due. And this one particular paper he was talking about, he said that he wrote it from 9 p.m. to 3 p.m. and he took it to, he turned it in, and when his professor, the dean, handed it back to him, he said, "You had the workings of a good paper here. Too bad you didn't spend any time on it." And that was just so discouraging for him, because not only the dean told him you didn't work very hard, but he knew that he could have done better, and he said that it was right that he felt that way, because he should have worked on it way before, gotten some drafts in, and when the sun was shining, but he didn't, and he learned his lesson. And then I just want him to say the quote that I separated here after he told that story.
The point is, with school, as with money or marriage or professions or any hope or any dream, prepare, plan, work, sacrifice, rework, spend cheerfully, time as well as money.
I thought it was interesting thinking about spending cheerfully on the things that matter, because especially when you're in trouble financially, spending any money is always scary, I guess, if you're not doing so well. And even though I know certain things are important, like I want to spend cheerfully in good food for my family, on the heat for our home, or electricity and things like that, but it just always feels hard. But when you're spending on the things that matter most, maybe you should, we should all feel cheerful because we can afford those things. And yes, we're going to have to decide what we're going to go without, what we're going to sacrifice to have other things. And things aren't always going to be comfortable, and we're going to need to prepare in order to not be discouraged so easily and so quickly, but it is possible.
On things that matter and things that are worth, carry the calm and wear the assurance of having done all you could do with what you had. If you work hard and prepare earnestly, it will be very difficult for you to wear down or give in or give up. If you labor with faith in God and in yourself and in your future, you will have built upon a rock which, when the winds blow and the rains come, and surely they will, you shall not fall. Of course, some things are not under your control. Some disappointments come regardless of your effort and your preparation. For I believe God wishes us to be strong as well as good. There too
I really like that part as well, that God wants us to be strong as well as good. And also there was a post by President Eyring from just a few days ago, where he says that the test of this life is not if we can endure difficulty, but if we can endure it well. And that's what it says on that's what Nephi teaches us. And as much as I when I read that, I was like, that's a little bit scary, because enduring difficulty is hard. As we all know, we've all had trouble and difficult times, but enduring it well is what we are trying to accomplish. We're trying to get better at.
Say, love your life poor as it is. Drive even these experiences into the corner, painful though they may be, and learn from them. In this too you have friends through the ages in whom you can take comfort and with whom you can form
I think I'm going to stop here. I still have a lot of other things that I like about this talk that I wanted to share, but I'm going to leave it for a different video because I'm just trying this new setup, and I hope it wasn't terrible. And if you think it is, that's fine. But I've been doing my best. I just really want to share things that touch that speak to my heart. I want to share things that are in my heart, and hopefully you'll feel the spirit when you listen, and share some things that are uplifting and helpful in these times of trouble. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.